Hello, Eastside Youth. Um, this is your midweek encouragement. And this week's kind of been a weird week, not in a bad way, in a good way. We were back together Sunday night, which was really great. And we're looking forward to this week. Real quick, before I get into just a little bit of what I have to share and what's going on. This week normally would be a week for small groups. The last Sunday of a month, we usually do small groups. That said, we looked at doing that and we thought that it would be better to um, do something that was a small group type feel thing, but as all of us together, just because we've been apart for a while. And so we're planning on having a fire pit here at our house. Um, this Saturday at 6, or sorry, Sunday at 6. So instead of like our regular youth group time at 4, usually that's getting done at 6. We'll be getting together at our house. We'll have some hot dogs and some snacks for you guys, and we're trying to get, just so you know, we're trying to get individually packaged stuff as much as we can, just to keep sanitation uh, at the front of our minds there. But that's going to be this Sunday at 6, weather permitting. So if we get closer and the weather kind of is looking not as good, I'll keep you guys updated on our plan with it from there. But that is the plan as of right now. So we're looking forward to having you guys over and spending some time together. Um, yeah, and just getting back together. It's good. It's good. Um, so this week, uh, there's a couple things, and one of the things that has really stood out is just kind of the um, I guess just the power of faith. And what I mean by that is I watched a documentary earlier this week, and one of the main driving principles is that um, like faith in the gospel as the good news of Jesus has power because not because of like all of its uh, teaching that, because there's some who would say that the gospel is primarily existent to just make sure that you have good feelings and or just get rich and feel good in this life, and Jesus actually says the opposite of that. He goes, like, people are going to not care for you and hate you and persecute you because of me and your association with me. But what's interesting is, like, even when people are in the midst of that, they can still experience joy. They can still experience gladness, thankfulness to God, and it all comes back to their faith. Their faith is in a God who is bigger than the situation, and then because of that, when they're hit with that type stuff, they're able to stand up under it. Um, and so that, coupled with, I've also been reading a book, and it's looking at the idea of certainty. And we've talked a little bit in youth group about how questions are good, and it's okay to have concerns and some doubt, and not just have an answer for everything. And the reason that is because faith requires us to give up the idea that things have to be locked in certain. And what I mean by that is there are some things that we can take to the bank. We can take to the bank that when we call on Jesus and we put our faith in his work and life and death on the cross, that God will recognize that, and we will be given salvation. We can take that to the bank. We can take the character of God to the bank. We can trust in those things. But faith is not about putting all these little puzzle pieces together and then having this big picture that we can go, yep, 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 my faith is there and I know that. Rather, faith is the, like, active belief and trust in something, even when oftentimes it gets shaken a little bit. It's not what we expected, and in those times, this it's this idea that when stuff is not like coming up, that is when our faith. Those times are when maybe our faith is being pushed and is maybe being caused to grow. Um, and so in that, there's this example in the Bible. It's in Daniel chapter 3, and it's one of, if you want, like, the most pure expression of what it means to have faith. Uh, in my opinion, Daniel 3 It's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and it's when they're getting ready to be thrown into the fiery furnace. King Nebuchadnezzar had made this golden statue, and he told the Israelite captives that they needed to bow down to the statue as a god. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they wouldn't do it. They were having none of it. So Nebuchadnezzar hauls them in, and he tells them, he's like, just bow down to the thing, or else I'm going to toss you into that fire over there. And then Daniel 3, verse 17, this is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's answer to King Nebuchadnezzar. It says, if this be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. So let's pause there. King Nebuchadnezzar says, bow down, or I'm tossing you in. And they say, our God is able to stop it, and he's going to stop it. And then that is like, okay, that's great. But then if you're like me, my brain instantly goes, but what if he doesn't? Like, what if they get tossed in? And verse 18 is Nebuchadnezzar. This is what they say going beyond that to Nebuchadnezzar. They say, but if not, if God doesn't, be known to you, O king, we're not going to serve your gods and worship the golden image you've set up. So even if we do get thrown in, which spoiler, they get thrown in, God is still God. And we know, because we can read the rest of the story, that God does save them, that he delivers them, they get thrown in, but the fire can't consume them. And that's awesome. And it's this great picture of God coming through for his people. But before that is this great picture of faith where the people say, sorry, not all of the people, just Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they say, our God can do this, he's going to do this, but if he doesn't do this, we're still going to believe in him. Our faith is still in God because God is worth it. It's not just like this bunch of ideas that we've said yes to. God is real, and our faith is in God. And so I would encourage you, if there's times where you get hit with, this isn't making sense, by all means, search for answers, search for some truth in that. Try to grow and seek a better understanding of those things. But then put yourself into verse 18. But if you don't find it, have faith, worship God anyway. And that is a faith that is now stretched beyond needing a bunch of answers and beyond needing to always have the perfect quip and the perfect comeback and the perfect defense. It's a faith that says, you know what, there's some tough stuff, and I'm still going to believe my God, even though sometimes it's hard, and even though sometimes there are things that I struggle with in that faith. So I'd encourage you guys, again, you've heard me say questions and doubt you guys are not wrong to have them, but have them right next to your faith in God. Don't let go of that, because it's when we start to say, well, I can't. That is when we start to move into the territory of unbelief. And so I would encourage you guys, be okay with questions. Be okay with saying, hey, I'm not sure if I believe this. What do I think about it? Whether that's to your parents or to another person that you trust with faith stuff, feel free, ask questions. That's part of why, like Anna and I, Kyle and Rachel, and the other adults who have tried to work with you guys in the youth group and stuff, that's part of why we're here, is to be here if you guys have questions. Because I think I would be speaking for all of them, and I know I'm speaking for myself when I say that we still have questions. We still are putting a lot of this together. But our God is worth it, and faith in God is a faith worth having. So, love you guys. I will see you guys on Sunday, and just keep an eye out. I'm going to be posting a picture here in a little bit about the fire pit. But if the weather's supposed to be okay on Sunday, but if things turn, we will adjust the plan as need be. Take care, guys. See you soon.